Are you ready? Okay, I'd like to open up the planning and zoning meeting of April 12th, 2022. And I would like to make a motion at the start to go into executive session. I would like to invite Beth Cavagna, Nancy LaBalbo, Chuck, and David into our meeting as well.
Second.
And John, we're kicking you out.
Bye, John.
Bye, John.
And Paula Angelini.
Paul Anthony should be out.
Do we have a second for that, Kitty?
Yeah, Bob.
Yes.
No, no,
All in favor?
it should be.
Aye.
Purpose discussed.
Taken and no decision was made on this subject. So we are going now on to,
Can you take a recess for a minute so I can let everybody else in?
okay, we're going to take a 5-minute recess.
Can we have a
We
vote on
take them
that,
in
please?
quietly.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Consensus.
All in favor?
Second.
Aye. Okay.
Did we make a motion?
Yeah, I did.
Sure.
I did. And she,
Motion to
Kenny
recess.
seconded
Thank
it.
you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks,
Opposed?
Chuck.
Okay.
Recorder's on, Kitty.
Okay, we're opening the public hearing for April 12th, 2022.
I'm gonna make a motion that we move the public hearing on the agenda for the town of Bethel special permit stadium sign 5/17/22 up ahead of the upstream property.
Second.
Second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those against? Motion passes. Thank you. Okay, town of Bethel special permit sign. Come on up,
You put it up on the screen.
please.
Thank you. We're gonna put it up on the screen.
Town of Bethel special permit stadium sign, 300 Whittlesey Drive.
You want me to read this first?
Yes, would you do the public notice?
Public notice, the Bethel Planning and Zoning Commission will hold a public hearing on April 12th, 2022 at 7 p.m. in meeting room D to hear the application of the town of Bethel for property located at 300 Whittlesey Drive for a special permit. The proposal is for a display sign located at the Bethel High School Stadium Field. The public may attend and send comments via regular mail and email at landuse@bethel-ct.gov. The application can be found on the Town of Bethel website. Ken Stevens, Chairman.
Thank you. Beth, do you want the staff report read?
Yes.
Okay. Town of Bethel, Whittlesey Drive, Bethel High School Stadium, under section 5-7 Educational Park Zone. B, uses permitted by special permit. 5, uses customarily accessory and incidental to a permitted principal use. And number 6, the following accessory uses are expressly permitted. B, athletic field, fences, playing courts, running tracks, playgrounds, pools, bleachers, dugouts, and concession stand. The department's interpretation of the regulations considers the proposed display sign similar in nature to scoreboards and other signage associated with other athletic/school events occurring within the park. Staff has referred the proposal location to the police department for review. The application should review with the commission for the proposed use, frequency of change in message, and hours of operation. It should be noticed that under the regulations, constant change in message, flashing lights, and advertisement commercial in a nature are not allowed. And that's that. And you have?
All right, good evening. I'm Mark Karen, Director of Athletics at the high school and middle school.
Suzanne Rogers, County Supervisor Board of Ed.
So thank you for entertaining this tonight and hearing what we're looking to do to benefit really the whole campus, educational campus at the high school, middle school, and elementary schools. We chose this location because it is a central location and we anticipate that the schools will use it for messaging to promote open house nights and everything else that's related to the schools. I plan on using it to put up the daily event schedule and promote our athletes and what they're doing. Again, we chose this location for a second reason. The mural that's up there now we're replacing anyway. There's electric that's already there, Wi-Fi, so it cuts the cost significantly. It's also between 2 speed bumps that have slowed the traffic considerably. So I think it is a safe spot to put it. they showed me the actual, this size 6x10. And you can see it, I stood at about 2 degrees or 5 degrees, and you can see it perfectly. So somebody's not gonna have to turn their head to see what's up there. The natural slope of the road, you're gonna see it perfectly. So that's why we chose the location. The primary use, again, we're gonna use it for announcements. And I hope to use it to also promote our student athletes. A lot of times we do our athlete of the week. Anything that the school is doing to promote our athletes, our scholar athletes. We plan on putting the pictures up just so that, again, it's a source of pride for not only our town, but for the families that their athletes and their students that get up there. Graduations, that's our new site for graduations. The goal is to put up pictures of the kids during graduation, both middle school and high school. I think that would be a really nice touch, and a special touch for our seniors that are graduating and 8th graders that are moving up. Highlights, for accomplishments that, whether we're talking about academic performances of our excellent achieving schools, or however we want to promote what we do. And I think what we do a great job of in the town of Bethel is what we expect to use it for. We do have a few sponsors. The sponsors are Ingersoll Auto, Carluzzi's, and Jeff Bruno. Jeff Bruno has asked that we put up, and I think it's a great idea, the Bethel Cares Coalition, just about when they're going to meet to try and get and promote what they do for the town of Bethel, and put up the meeting times to try to get more involved with that. So that's kind of the general gist of it. There are a lot of schools in our general area that have used a digital sign to promote what they do at their schools. Monroe, as you first pull in, has it. Brian McMahon High School, Fairfield High School. So there's quite a few schools locally that have these digital signs. And again, it's just another way to promote the wonderful things that I think we do here at Bethel. So, any questions?
Okay, if I will go to the public, is there anyone in the public who would like to speak about the sign? You? Okay, so then we'll go to commission members. Ken, want to start?
I have no questions.
Ken has some questions. Rob?
Nighttime use, is that?
Thank you. I forgot to mention that. So the police commission requested that we turn it off during drop off and pickup time for school, so we can do that. And we would shut it off at 10 o'clock. So we can program it exactly as.
Okay, Penny has reminded me, excuse me, do we have anybody in the Zoom who would like to address this first? I'm sorry.
I'll raise out there, thank you, Madam Vice Chair. For anyone that has public comment that they want to offer on this application, you would use the raise hand icon. You can reach that by clicking on the participants icon in the tab that appears at the bottom of the Zoom app. Clicking next to your name should bring up a range of actions that you can do, one of which is raising your hand. Raising your hand lets us know that you have public comment that you want to offer. At this time, Madam Vice Chair, I'm not seeing anyone at this time that wishes to offer public comment, but that may change over the next few seconds. So.
All right, so did you want to answer Ron
Yeah,
Wallace's
we
question?
can program it as it's easy. The police commission did request that we turn it off and drop off and pick up. So we can do that, and we would plan on turning it off at 10 o'clock at night. Turning it back on around 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah.
And so, I'm sorry, and the sign is owned by the town?
Yes,
Okay, so you are also responsible for maintenance?
correct. It does have a 5-year warranty.
Select Yard.
What's the time frame for installing this?
Well, everything is obviously backboarded, so it would take to the summer. The summer is when he thought he could get it up and ready to go, operational. So for next school year, it would be a full go. I don't think it would be ready for graduation. would be close.
Is there a time frame when you need us to approve this?
Well, the price is locked until Friday. I've been told that the price is gonna increase after Friday.
That's what I'm
Okay.
The quote has-
Good. Like the car.
Yes.
He's given us this quote.
It's going to.
Back to October, so
Okay.
it's been a long process and they kept it as is since October, so I'm worried that it's gonna go up significantly after Friday.
That's it.
Penny?
No questions.
My only thing would be to adjust the start time in the morning from 6. Okay, maybe just coincide with sunrise.
Okay.
Because you have that retirement home over the hill and
Sure.
I don't need people seeing the sun come up and not being the sun.
Not a problem.
Other than that, though, I think it's great for the town.
Okay, Mr. Cuny?
No questions. I like the idea.
Thank you. Linda Curtis?
No questions, looks good.
Okay, and I have no questions. Beth?
Yes, I had a few things. One is that who determines what is going on the sign?
School administration.
The school administration makes that determination? Okay, and there's no commercials or things of that nature?
The only
running
would be a
on the sign?
bank of banks thanking our sponsors.
Like a thank you to the
Yes,
sponsors?
the 3 sponsors that we have.
Okay, and no bling, what I call a bling, messaging, alerts, things like that. I mean,
No.
we're talking
So,
not messaging per se,
no, what we anticipate
Movement.
is,
movement, I'm
It's
not
gonna-
looking for
it's-
movement.
okay, it's gonna scroll through and over a 2-minute period, it's gonna thank our sponsors and give us our daily programs and anything else that we want for that particular day in terms of messaging. That's what we plan on.
Those sponsors, though, they're gonna be scrolling every couple minutes forever.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's how this is $45,000. So. Not forever, it would be a 10-year contract.
Yeah,
So,
And
almost forever.
It's visual, not audio.
correct.
There's no audio.
We could, but we're not going to.
No.
This works off a computer in
Yeah,
the school, right?
Mhm.
So you
Okay.
have control over what goes on.
So, you know, we have a lot of problems with messaging signs here in town. And basically what you want to do is ensure that there's no flashing associated with it, that it's a good standard scroll.
Yeah.
You understand what
I
I
do
mean? I mean, we
understand.
can talk about
Crossfade.
that more.
Yeah, the transitions.
No blinking.
We can do the transitions
It's not gonna look like Times Square.
however you would want.
Yeah, okay,
So
all
the people
right.
in Meadows Ridge will be
And-
jumping out of this thing.
And then
Okay.
from what I've been told is we have complete control over
Okay.
however we want to program it, however we want to transition.
Okay,
So.
because the hours of operation, I think you need to, you know,
Think about
figure
that.
out,
Sure.
finalize those to a better degree.
Yeah.
Only because the drop-offs and pickups, it varies from schools and all that kind of stuff, so we can do that. I think, if you wish to close the public hearing tonight, you can. And my suggestion would be is that you give them a consensus of if you're in agreement to approving this. That will give him an indication of whether or not he can sign the contract
Mhm.
for Friday. And then we can draw up a resolution of approval and have it for you at the next meeting,
I think
if you choose
the
to do
consensus
that.
would be enough for you.
Yes.
All right. So should we vote on the consensus right now?
Otherwise, the sign will be in your backyard.
Oh, thank you.
But you'll know it's one.
Okay, commission members, do we have a consensus on approving this?
We'll close-
Oh, I'm sorry, we're going to close it. First, we're going to close the public
We can
hearing.
close the public hearing as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, thank you.
Second.
Okay. I don't-
I'm in agreement with
Now,
giving them a consensus tonight so that they can go forward.
okay, everyone?
Yeah.
We show of hands,
Show of hands.
okay? Doug, Linda, yes?
In favor.
Okay.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's all right.
Thank you very much.
You're
Mark,
welcome.
can I have your last, can you spell your
Sure,
last name?
Karen,
again?
CARON,
And, sir, you said your title on that.
Director of Athletics.
Okay. Great, thank you.
How'd the lacrosse team do tonight?
Well, I had to leave a little bit early. Let me check.
Okay.
Girls 187. I don't know about the boys.
Okay.
Boys, what else?
I like the baseball. team.
What is the baseball one?
They went too, all right. Good night.
Okay, the next item on our agenda
Thanks very much.
is a continued public hearing for upstream properties, map amendment, site plan, special permit, extension to tonight, 412-48 Stony Hill Road. Mr. Olson.
Good evening. Peter Olson, I'm the attorney with an office here in Bethel. I'm from the Land Use and Conservation Council, here on behalf of the applicant Upstream Properties. We've had a very extensive and lengthy back and forth with Ray Pierce and with Mike Galante. As to Ray Pierce, the engineering issues, as to Mike Galante, the traffic issues. And I'm pleased to report that I think we've reached the end of that exchange. And the town consultants appear to be satisfied. Rock Iman is here, and I'll have him summarize to start where we ended up with Ray Pierce. Their final memorandum to you essentially says that the issues are resolved. It does identify a few items that should be conditions of approval and dealt with before we start
Excuse me,
construction.
Peter, I'm sorry to keep doing this, Peter. Do you want me to put the plans on the table, or are we gonna share a screen?
Rock will share a screen.
Why don't we share a screen too, because we do have several members that are on Zoom this evening.
And then we received the final report from Mike Galante, and he's here. He can tell you all about his report. After that report, we made a few adjustments to the plan and resubmitted, and I'll address that briefly after Rock goes through with the application. So Rock, it's all yours.
Right, so. Rock Emmon, Associate Civil Engineer with SLR International Corporation out of 99 Realty Drive, Church, Connecticut. Again, in front of you, wonderful. So the previous site plan had a underground detention system, which consisted of three kind of what I'll call nodes, which are interconnected underground detention systems. And going back and forth with Wright Pierce, we kind of came to a resolution that would make more sense to just aggregate it all and come to one conclusion of one underground detention system. And that's located here in the center of the property. So essentially what's going on is all the catch basins and all the stormwater is being directed to a hydrodynamic separator here, which is then being discharged to an isolator row in the middle. That's going to basically polish and settle out the water. That will then, because this is a detention system, hold back that water and discharge towards the outlet from the pond, which then goes to the Dibbles Brook. There's an outlet control structure here, which is holding back all that water. And going back and forth with Wright Pierce, they kind of agree with the methodology now, because there was a little bit of a difference of opinion on how things were operating. But I think we've resolved those issues with this current design. And I believe that they are now happy with that, as well as I'm pretty happy with the design. It seems a little cleaner than it was previously, as well as just overall just makes a little bit more constructability sense, because now you're just building and digging one hole instead of three multiple holes. We also were in receipt of a comment from the fire marshal. I know that we were back last meeting where he was asking us to move the building about 6 feet. And we have since gotten a resolution that he was comfortable with the change for the site plan, and I can throw that up very quickly.
Mr. Emmon, if I may interrupt, the people that are on Zoom, they don't have the benefit of seeing where you're pointing at, so can you use your cursor?
I can.
Thank you.
Is he sharing the screen?
I am
Okay,
doing two things, trying my best.
I do it every week.
He's multi-talented.
So we have the underground detention system here, which is what I was discussing before. It used to be located one here, one in the middle, and one on the left. There is an access easement in between here, so we were kind of avoiding this location because there's also a water main as well as a gas service that's going through this particular area. So by having everything kind of segregated before, we were avoiding that. And based upon our conversation with Wright Pierce, once again, we consolidated that to here and have a overflow pipe, which leads out to an outlet control structure, which then goes to the outlet and then goes and discharges to the Dibbles Brook. And then when I was iterating the dimension off the retaining wall per the fire marshal's comment. We received the notification that he was good with that minor modification. We were also in receipt of the traffic letter from Michael Ante, and I believe Neil will go through our responses to that. I don't know if you wanted me to go through the site plan changes.
We'll have Neil do it first.
Got it. Those are really the changes that are required to
I don't have anything, well, I do a little. For the record, Neil Malinsky with SLR. We did receive, I think, 3 rounds of comments from HH, Hardesty, Hanover, and Mr. Monte's group. I think we essentially settled on, try to boil it down to a handful of things. One is the amount of traffic that this currently proposed site plan expected to generate is expected to be less than what the prior approved site plan was for this front parcel. We all came to an agreement on that. That's a key point. Nonetheless, it is going to have traffic. It is a development. There's going to be some traffic onto Route 6, clearly. One of the things we're going to do, and one of the things we investigated, was looking at traffic signal modifications, signal timing adjustments to the signal on Route 6 and Hollyville Road, state signal. We're already going to be reviewed by the CONDOT's Office of State Traffic Administration. So we're going to share our suggested retimings to CONDOT for that signal, which will help mitigate the amount of new traffic that this development would add to the roadways. The other key point was parking that was brought up in the recent letter. Mr. Galante's group went through crunched some numbers. What we ended up doing, I don't know if Rock, you can.
Yeah, I can kind of jump in here. So what we ended up doing was, so they were looking for 5 additional spaces over what we were actually kind of proposing. So what I did was I made some modifications to probably the location of the retaining wall, some island modifications to kind of gain those 5 spaces. And once again, those 5 spaces are kind of eating away at that green space. So what we're doing is we're looking for 5 deferred spaces in the top north corner to kind of provide more green space on this end, just because it's a location that is just going to be readily accessible. If we're going to be grading that area out and the traffic determines that we need those 5 extra spaces, it will be easy to install. And then everything else would just allow for it to flow. Nothing in between would have to be disturbed or developed separately if the traffic patterns show that we need those extra 5 spaces. But per the point that was from H&H, we've made the adjustment to get the 246 parking spaces.
Correct. And the last point that was brought up is we do acknowledge there are some folks from the adjacent residential Cooper Square development that are parking on our site. We're going to prohibit that in the future. Quite frankly, they should be parking on their own site, so we're going to put the signage to prohibit that once this project is built. So that summarizes it. Mr. Galante, I don't know if there's anything I missed.
Oh, we'll let him know.
When it's your turn.
And just to reiterate, Copper Square is the neighboring.
Thank you, Neil. Just to summarize, as a legal matter, the residents of Copper Square have no legal right to park on this property. So we will have signage to discourage that. We obviously, some people will enjoy the signage, and we'll just have to escalate the response with Copper Square. We expect them to make it clear to their residents that they can't park here. They'll end up having to tow people if they continually park there. But on the other hand, it could very well be that it's just not a problem. And that's what we hope is everybody can act neighborly about it. So from our perspective, we think we've responded to all of the concerns expressed by the town's consultants. And we're ready for you to close the hearing. So that's where we are tonight. Happy to answer any questions that you may have, and I'll turn it back to you.
Mike Galante. I'm ready. Floor is yours.
I'll stand over here. I'm walking home. Thanks, Mike Galante, Hardesty, Hanover. You met Greg Dorito from my office, I think on a Zoom last time around. He really does exist, so. But thanks again. I'll keep it brief. Some of the information was already provided by SLR. We started this review back in December with their first report. We decided, since we had some concerns with the first report, not to be the bad guys, but we decided to provide letters as we were going along to instead of waiting to the very end and then making comments and have them do everything over, we decided to provide the information as they went through the information and they provided it. So yes, they provided 4 different reports, each time responding to some comments we may have had, some minor, some more major in scope. And we had 3 review letters during that time, just for the record, January 14th, February 8th, and April 7th, which was the most recent one. They had December 8th, January 28th, March 11th, and April 11th, which was one just the other day. In essence, just to make the point, comparing this development as proposed today, which is 60 units, to about almost 10,000 square feet of commercial space, which is proposed now, and what was proposed and approved years ago, actually. 10 years, how long ago? Too long. Too long, okay. But we roll around. Was a development that had 60 units, but it had about 44,000 square feet of commercial space. And I mention those numbers because it's important. As mentioned by Neil, the site traffic is reduced with this new development, and we agree with that. We had them do some initial analyses. We asked for a Saturday analysis to make sure. But just to give you a range of reduction in traffic, I'll just look at weekday PM peak hour and Saturday midday peak hour, just for your record. We reduced the traffic with this new development against the old one by 58 trips during the key peak hour in the afternoon, weekday afternoon. Saturday is a reduction of 214 trips during the midday Saturday peak hour. Those are significant reductions in traffic. I think that's important because when you go through the analyses of how the intersections operate, and during this process, we asked for additional information on other intersections, but by providing the information back to us, we agreed with the scope of what was provided in the final report, if you will, which was the driveway to the site, the Weed Road Weed Road intersection with the assisted living development, which is a back door to the Copper Square development. And then, of course, the Old Holyville Road intersection, which is the key larger intersection, signalized near Big Y. In their analyses, they showed that there are some traffic delays out there. This development as it is and reduced is not really creating the issues, but they have offered suggestions on modifying the timing at the Old Holyville Road intersection, which we suggested they bring to Oster and DOT during that review, because there is another review beyond the town level. And they agree that during that process, they will do that and make those suggestions. So DOT has the information, and they don't need to start from scratch as far as analyzing it. The Oster process, in this case, will be an administrative decision step. So it's not a full-blown certificate, although the property itself has a certificate from the combined development, the one in the back already built. This one previously approved with different development. All the road improvements along Route 6 along the site frontage remains as it is today. The left turn lanes and the widening that was put in place years ago, that's still appropriate and adequate for this development as is proposed now. And this development with these analyses now include other developments that weren't accounted for or even known several years ago. So while traffic for this development is being reduced, the background traffic is adding other development that in one case has been approved, another one on the new town line that may come online in the near future. It goes through that process. So all in all, there's a reduction in traffic on this development, but there's an increase in background traffic from other development, both here in the town of Bethel and Newtown to the east of here. From the parking perspective, we did what we call shared parking analysis. And the reason why it's shared parking is this is a mixed use development. It has residential and it has commercial space. In very simple terms, what happens during the day is there's a shared parking because there's residents going to work and someone going to the store may use the same parking space, shared parking. So during the day, it shows that there's more than adequate parking to accommodate the residents that may or may not be home, because working home nowadays, not everyone. But at the evening, the crucial time here is the commercials close at night, but the residents are home. And what we found is that the parking that's provided, 244 spaces, 41 spaces, is adequate, but it's close to the capacity, full capacity. So that's where we come up with the additional 5 spaces, because we like to have something that's called below the 90% utilization of the parking spaces provided. So the whole shared parking analysis showed that overnight it's getting close. It's not there, but it's getting close to that. So we felt a cushion of additional 5 spaces, which doesn't sound like a lot, helps and addresses the concern. So in all, traffic-wise, we're satisfied, and from a parking perspective, we're satisfied. One last comment, which was brought up, is that the Cooper Square development to the rear. Copper. I was close.
You're just following. You're following Rocky.
Yeah, most of the letters.
Most of the letter, the right starting letter. there's overflow from that development onto this, I'll call it a vacant lot today, and not just a couple of cars, but many cars. I only highlight that as in the future, those residents or those visitors that be parking on dirt area today will be filling some of the parking spaces. Now, their recommendation would be in their best interest is to enforce that the neighbor to the rear doesn't park in these new parking lots. So the spaces are available for its residents, as well as the commercial visitors, patrons, and the employees of those businesses. So all in all, we're satisfied with pretty much, and yes, we had a back and forth, but they responded to every question we had without any problem. They had some input where they disagree with us. We had a discussion back and forth, and we're satisfied with everything we've been provided. So that's a quick summary.
Thank you.
Okay,
Very good.
thank you.
Offer two comments quickly in response. Nothing with what have to do with what has been said substantively, but just in case everybody doesn't know, developments of a certain size have to be approved by DOT, the Office of State Traffic Authority, OSTA. And the permit that you need to get is called a Major Traffic Generator Certificate. And so we all say certificate as if everybody knows what that means. But what it really means is that after you issue what we hope is an approval, we have to go to OSTA with an application that says, okay, we've got our local approval. We need you to, in this case, amend our certificate for the revised development. So I just want to be clear what that is. It's a second step that in developments that are of a certain size, usually based on number of parking spaces or square footage of the buildings. And then in addition, obviously, we're on a state highway, so we have a DOT District 4 review as well. So just want to be clear on that. And again, on Copper Square, you know, we're hoping everybody will get along. If it becomes a problem, we will enforce. We'll tow cars. We'll make sure people can't park there. We did learn as part of this application that Copper Square doesn't prohibit people from using their garages for things other than parking cars. And so maybe that's one way they can quickly, maybe not quickly, but maybe one way they can resolve part of their problem is to prohibit people from filling their garages with junk. Or maybe not junk, but you know, using it as living space. And instead use it to park the car. So, thanks, sorry.
No problem. No problem at all. Well, yeah, does anyone here in this audience, what the public would like to speak? Come on up forward and give us your name and address.
Seth Davis, 213 Copper Square Drive.
You know, I have to
Sorry.
say, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
You can rename it if you want.
Just this afternoon, I was helping my son set up his IRA. And part of the forms that he had to fill out included his employer's address. It says 123 Cooper Square, New York, New York. So you're not alone in it hardly. As long as you're sending me a check, be sure that it's addressed properly.
There you go.
Anyway, just to address a couple of things. Oh, gosh. On the parking. This has been a sore issue with us for some time. Everything that's been said is true. I just want the representatives of the owner of this property to be aware of this. We have over and over, I should have said for the record, I'm the president of the Copper Square Association. We've over and over and over again told residents they are not allowed to park there. We do not have the right to enforce anything on that property. We don't have the right to tow on that property. The prior owner, sometimes with our prodding, had cars towed away. And we actively encourage you to do that, and we'll be glad to cooperate with you. It's a cause for exasperation. By the same token, we do have the power to tow cars on our property, and we're very concerned about parking on the 48 Copper Square lot. I've been satisfied with the owner's statements about procedures and rules they're going to follow about limiting the number of spaces, putting the stickers on. As I said before to you, if there's somewhere that you can memorialize that in your approval, make it run with the land somehow, that would be appreciated. But I'm sure we can work together on that. And as far as our own parking regulations, first of all, changing the regulations to allow to forbid anything but parking in the garages would require an amendment to the declaration. which requires a 2/3 vote of our community. So that's a bit of an ask. And I would say candidly, I doubt if it would carry 2/3 of the vote. We have to be, I can tell you that the majority of units do not use it only for storage. Most of the units have cars parked in their garages. Fact remains that we're applying the same parking ratios to our property, more or less, as you are to this. We think there's been problems. If your consultant is satisfied with it, and by the way, I applaud the use of the shared parking concept. That is, of course, we may see some differences as we get into the age of people working from home, but that's the right way to look at things. And if you're satisfied with that number, we'll have to make it work. I also encourage you, and this isn't so much with regard to this petition as others coming before you. Keep in mind the cumulative impact of traffic on that road. Your consultant obviously has that in his vision. You're not approving each of these projects as an individual one. Consider the cumulative impact. I remain concerned about the traffic. I know the limits that we have, the ability to put lights. I think there should be a light at that Wheat Road intersection. I know we've been turned down in the past from the state. People that leave the property now at the peak commuting times have a lot of trouble making turns onto Stony Hill Road. And it's only going to get worse, and the impact's going to be cumulative. So the kind of analysis you have now is one that you have to keep on doing and being adamant to that. So that having been said, I have to say that the one remaining issue that we have is a big one. That's the movement of that building, the 6 feet or whatever. As you recall from my last appearance here, and if you look at the plans, that building is very close to our 400 block of townhouses. Even moved back 6 feet, it's still going to be very close. We urge you again to consider looking at the location again more critically. If not, we'd like some kind of visual buffer in between the properties. I talked with some of the representatives of the owner last time, and there was some receptivity to that. But that's our key concern, that there's going to be people that are going to be looking right at the back of a building. It was said last week that well before under the prior plan, they'd be looking right at the back of a bank. Well, frankly, looking at the back of a bank would be better. It's a smaller building. We're talking about 3 stories staring them right in the face. The most you can do to mitigate that impact would be appreciated. But thank you for your time. If you have any other questions concerning the Copper Square impact here, I'm here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
David, would there be anybody on Zoom?
I will repeat the instructions I gave for the previous public hearing. For anyone who wants to offer public comments on this application, click on the participants icon in the tab that appears at the bottom of the Zoom app. Doing so brings up a range of actions for yourself, one of which would be to raise your hands. Raising your hand in Zoom is your indicator to Madam Vice Chair that you have a public comment that you want to offer. At this time, I'm not seeing anyone that wishes to do so, Kitty.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Mr. Shanley.
Anybody else on here?
I did ask. Nobody else
Okay.
stepped up. Mr. Shanley.
The building 3, I think that is the one that the gentleman from Copper Square had the concern about, that building 3. I believe Attorney Olson, you already said there's gonna be some sort of trees there between there for a, in that, between the Copper Square building and building 3. I think you already said there.
Yeah, the
you
short
guys are
answer is
planning
we
on
have a
putting-
landscaping plan that shows that there will be trees planted in that area.
Okay,
I can't remember the name of the tree. But
okay. And of course,
Yeah, I know. I'll get that sheet.
so if, I can share my.
Okay.
My only other comment would be the 5 maybe parking spaces, make them a yes parking spaces, because it's not your responsibility to park Copper Square's cars, but I do appreciate how tight it is already. So even if it's just gonna be 5 extra spaces, if we think that's gonna get you to a magic 90% number or alleviate a little bit of pain, then why wait? Just
Well, I'll tell you why. So if you read Mr. Galante's report, one of the reasons he thinks we should add a few parking spaces is not because there's not enough overall, but because we want to hit a 90% number. That is 90% utilization. And the reason you want to do that is you don't want people driving around looking for the last space, because that increases traffic. So by adding those 5 spaces, correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, but you think that issue's alleviated. Our concern is we've spent a number of hearings with the commission, with you expressing to us your desire for more green space on the property. And so if we pave it, we're going directly against that.
Yeah.
So our thought was a compromise, which is something that historically we've been able to do with the commission.
Yeah.
Which is to say, look, we can put 5 spaces right here. Let's see how this all works. If it seems like there's a problem, either you come to us or we come to you saying, we're gonna pave those 5 spaces. So
I think
so that's why we left it as an option. And if the commission says to us, no, just do it, pave it, we'll do it. That's not a
I
problem.
think when we bring up, I mean, Kitty loves her green space. She's thinking of.
She's
some
not the
kids-
only one, so.
Well, she's thinking about someone being able to go out, throw a baseball, kick a ball, walk their dog. I don't think 5 spaces worth of parking, if that's gonna help the parking situation, it's not gonna stop somebody from going out there and playing catch.
So it's 2,000 square feet is 5 parking spaces. It's not an insignificant.
Oh, I know it's not insignificant, that's why we're
And
talking.
it's,
about
and
it.
it's next to other green. space.
In my opinion, I would be willing to sacrifice that.
The answer is you
2,000
guys tell
space
us.
And just put the 5 spaces.
You guys tell us what you prefer.
And that's it for me.
So, and that's where we are with it.
Thank you.
If you have that number for me.
Yeah, so between the current value between the proposed building B and the Copper Square building located adjacently is about 52 feet. And if you were to go on, I know this is exactly perfect, but the 2 buildings within Copper Square and that are close enough are about 30 feet apart. So it would be this actually better than that existing condition that is actually currently on the Copper Square property. It's actually more, if I were to clear this, if I were to clear wonderful things. It seems like it's more like this scenario.
There's not a fence there, right? It's just some shrubbery or trees or something?
Correct.
Wasn't there a question raised as to what would be planted between those 2 buildings?
Yeah.
Well, there's a
There was
landscaping
some
plan.
trees.
Some sort of pink trees there,
We're gonna have
right?
somebody look it up on the landscaping plan.
Yeah.
So
I thought it was arborvitae's.
it's not a.
No.
Okay.
Remember someone saying like a pink flowering
That-
tree.
yeah.
Yeah,
I remember
that's what
too.
it was. Let's see what the
Rock has the plans right here. He's gonna.
here.
There's the landscaping
Here
plan.
they are.
Autumn glory,
You're probably right.
What's the glory?
I think.
Could be. Oh, autumn brilliance.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Autumn glory.
Brilliant.
I know. I have nothing else.
Thanks.
Okay. I don't have any questions at this time.
Mr. Legner,
I know we're not dealing with Copper Square, but the garages in Copper Square are part of the parking plan over there, right? This is what we approved years ago.
Yes,
Each garage is considered a parking space, I believe.
That's
Was
correct.
there anything in the decision that required that they be used for parking spaces?
no,
But we counted it.
but we counted them as parking
Right.
spaces.
Kind of, that's what I'm saying.
Maybe that's the way around the amend the declaration problem, that's for the town to say, by the way, these are parking spaces, so you have a choice.
doesn't work that way.
The 2 buildings that are too close together, according to the Copper Square people, which one is closest to the property line?
One of our buildings or the proposed?
Which
Either
one?
one.
Building 40,
The
I
point is,
believe it
which
is.
one?
Let me show you.
So that he'll be able to tell us right on this
Yeah.
plan here.
I believe the Copper Square building is closer than our building.
This is the one, our building is there.
That hatch line is the actual building or is it just?
Yeah, so the hatch that says proposed building 24 residential units, that's the proposed building B, which is 20.2 feet away from the property line. Get some math.
But they're both still within setbacks.
Well, technically, no, on our side, because setback is flexible based on the regulation.
Right.
Oh, this mute. Yes,
I like that.
no.
And then,
May I just point out one thing? The concern here is people bought with a certain expectation here. And we had the approved plan, and I'm sure we could pull it out, but the original building that was proposed here was located more like in this area and at a lower height.
Mhm.
So the concern here is people living in these units, one of whom's on my board, having a certain expectation, which in our view is impeded here.
I mean, it may be a harsh answer, but then they should have bought it and built it, the original plan.
Well,
That's, you know,
we're not builders.
and just to get on that point really quickly, the previous plan also showed parking that was directed at that particular building. And with this parcel and this configuration, you're not having headlights aimed directly at your window. So that is a disturbance, I would think, more than, you know, somebody who's got the blinds closed.
you did explain at the last meeting, I believe, why the parking lot is not behind that building, but is actually in front of it. Okay. Oh, yeah.
Rob,
No questions?
Ken,
I see you did a lot of adjustments here to make this work. And if your Copper Square neighbors there, you know, incite you to put in taller trees, and I guess you'll have to consider that maybe. But that's strictly your call. And so I think that's kind of a done deal there. Wright Pierce has got a pretty big pile here. It looks like you guys answered all their questions. So I'm satisfied.
There were a couple of minor issues that they thought could be conditions of approval.
Yeah.
okay, Linda Curtis,
I don't have any other questions. Thank you.
Doug Cuny,
Nothing, Madam Chair.
okay. You know me, I'm sorry, to me, there's no green space here at all for a family. I mean, if children want to go outside after school or in the summer, go to the blacktop. And for me, that's a problem. But me. Okay, that.
One thing I do want to bring up, and it's in regards to the change of use to the property. And it may even apply more with what Kitty is bringing up as far as green space. And that is when you go back to the state of Connecticut for your administrative approval or something of that nature, we have been trying to get crosswalks installed at the intersection of Old Hollyville and Plum Trees Road over a large period of time now. There will be children associated with this. They'll be going to Mitchell Field. They'll be going to the Big Y. And adults too. We see it now out there. Adults from Copper Square participating in a lot of the different businesses associated with Route 6. I would strongly urge you to work with the town of Bethel and the police commission. Hopefully, and maybe we can have Mike help us with this. When you go to the state to see if we can put a little bit more pressure on them in order to accomplish this.
Excuse
I
me,
think it's very important.
you said Plum Trees Road, I assume you meant Stony Hill?
Yes.
Okay.
Neil, you got that?
Totally.
Yes, yes. you know, every town has a, what is called a local traffic authority.
Yes, police commission.
Liaison. So, the police commission in this case.
Yes.
And they are part of the OSA approval process. They have to help sign off. That is the channel by which this would get the ear of the Connecticut.
But it's not as simple as them making the recommendation that this be included in your administrative approval.
We can include it. Well,
Because
we have to look at
it's-
it. I have to digest.
Because that's been done before.
You know, sometimes the DOT is hard to get
Yes.
through to.
Yes,
But-
very much so. I will agree with you.
You can do as much as you can. The town, the LTA has to be, well, they can hold it up, quite frankly. They can hold up their what they call their concurrence approval. That is.
Okay, so that's something we can explore, but you do agree with us that we all work together. Let's see how far we can take this, because I'm sure we will get the concurrence of the police commission. Okay,
We'd be happy to support that.
Certainly,
Yeah.
okay.
Peter did talk about, or was it you, I'm sorry, who was talking about when you went to the DOT, you know, looking for better, sign, like, I come up from Holyville and Stony Hill all the time, and I get at that light, and I just, I go around now, I won't go that way, because it is so annoying to go that way, but that's reasoning was a great one, because we need that crosswalk for the children.
Right, and Conda, you know, can't speak for them, but they are more than ever focused, at least focused on improving pedestrian safety, more than they have been.
I would hope so.
Okay.
So it's a good sign, at the very least.
So
Yeah.
they're not just talking, they're walking and talking.
Some of them are.
Mike, sure, Mike.
There are push buttons there today on the, let's call it the westbound approach of
Mhm.
Stony Hill Road.
Mhm.
There's no crosswalk to match those push buttons that change the
No.
traffic signal to go green and over Holyville Road.
Right,
So you would think it'd be an easy process, but as we've discussed, you need the police commission as part of the concurrence to support it. And that's my suggestion, to get it.
so getting them involved would be a
Get it,
big
you
help,
may get the same answer, but it's really the way to do it.
give it a shot.
And as part of that, I mean, they put a crosswalk in when Big Y was built to Mitchell Park.
Yes, they did.
We made that a requirement.
Yeah, and when.
Because it was
when-
signed as
when
town
We have
road.
tournaments out there, they do use it.
They
Yes,
do.
they do.
Yes, they do.
You know, people from out of town walk over to Big Y and pick up food and
But
drink.
they did that as a result of them not doing, the state not willing to put a crosswalk in up the intersection,
Section, yeah.
like. So
Gets
we,
them from Mitchell
we
Park
we
onto the
demanded that
sidewalk
ourselves.
on the other side of the road.
Right.
Town road.
Yes. But
And
that would
also,
be,
I'll also let you guys know that directly across from the Big Y, as off there is an improvement to the existing site that used to be the old BNA. BNA, it's a brown building. They are also going to be putting in a crosswalk there.
oh, are they? Oh,
Yes.
wonderful. That is a good sign. Very good. Okay, are there any other questions? Anywhere? So then I think we can close this hearing.
Very good.
This hearing is
Great.
closed. Thank you
so
very much.
Thank you all very much. Thank you.
Happy Easter. Should I say that while I'm saying it?
Happy holidays.
And Passover.
Oh, and Passover. That's right, the same weekend. Yes, thank you, because I already sent out my email for that. Okay, the next thing on our agenda is our business meeting. And let's see, so I would like to seat Rob for Ken Stevens and, oh, I'm sorry, Linda for Rich Tibbetts. Okay, is that anyone for missing? That's it, right? Right? Yeah, that's it. Yeah, 1, 2, 3.
6 here,
5,
2 on.
6, 7, yeah, that's it, okay.
Almost like.
Okay, so would anybody, have we all had a chance to read the minutes of 3/22/22?
Motion to approve.
Okay, Bob has a motion to approve the minutes.
Discussion.
Well, first, we approve it and then we can discuss it.
Second.
Second.
Oh, okay, all right. Okay.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, thanks, Sarah. Okay, discussion?
Yeah, I would just like to note that under the, this is page 201. Oh, that's interesting. Hold on a minute. Okay, the turf field middle school. Claris Construction, it is in the middle of page 3. I admit that my brain misfired because apparently I raised my hand to oppose it, which is really remarkable considering that I moved it.
No, but I remember you did.
Yeah, I
You
know.
made the motion to approve.
I made the
And
motion.
then
to-
voted against it. We
Clearly,
thought you
what-
got off the horse in midstream.
well, let me tell you, it was in many midstreams that I got off that horse. So obviously, we can't go back and change what I voted. But I do need to make that noted that,
Can we
It was-
change that then?
What do you wanna do?
No.
I want to say
Penny,
yes.
correct.
Penny voted wrong in
Fix
the
my mess.
motion to approve the turf field.
Fix my mess, people.
Note for the record that
Penny Kessler.
Penny Kessler,
Misspoke herself.
Oh, yeah, that's one way to put it.
Jump the gun.
Penny Kessler, okay, I'll take it. Penny Kessler screwed up royally. And she is throwing
wasn't gonna be that hard.
herself onto the floor so you can all stomp on me.
I was trying to get you off the hook.
Yeah, fine, I'm on the hook.
we understand what you tried to do, Penny, what you wanted to do.
Yes,
Unfortunately, it did not come across that way. And there's no way to change it now, but we would acknowledge that
thank
you were in favor
wanted
of
to
the
do.
turf
I
field.
wanted to do,
How's
All
that?
right.
Hey, approve it.
is in favor.
Okay, do you accept that change there?
It's not a change, it's
It's
just
not a
noting,
change.
it's noting for her.
No, you can't.
We'll
change
note
that.
it in the minutes of these
Thank
minutes.
you.
Right, we'll note it in these minutes. Note for the
Okay.
record, Penny Kessler is in
Totally.
favor of the turf field.
Yes, I know, and she threw herself on the ground and.
Okay, Commissioner Evers,
Didn't want Paul to be lonely.
all in favor of this motion? Those opposed? Abstentions? Anybody? Can you abstain?
Overall, I like the turf field. I just had a couple questions.
Okay, the motion passes.
Okay, invoices.
Invoices. Would somebody like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to pay invoices.
What are they?
How much are they?
$553.
$53.
53 says here.
Paul's in favor.
Yep.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Done. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Okay.
Okay, we have a work session here. Town of Bethel Well House Site Plan Treatment,
I just handed out the well house. That's what I was.
49 Plum Trees Road. And we have the resolution that we asked for. You want to take a minute to look through it?
Does anybody need another copy? Because I have two.
Would somebody like to make a motion?
I move that the commission accept the resolution of approval dated April 12th, 2022 regarding 49 Plum Trees Road, map 38, block 72, lot 110.
With the following conditions.
Okay, with the following.
1, 2, 3, 4.
With the following conditions, 1 through 5, reasons. The commission has carefully reviewed the application, listened to testimony, engaged the applicant in substantive discussion, and has determined the proposed use of the property for residential purposes is in accordance with the regulations and conforms to the special permit criteria outlined in 8.5.e of the regulations and the 2020 Bethel Plan of Conservation and Development. If constructed as approved, the project will not be a detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighboring properties, the district, or the town of Bethel.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Bob. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
How do you vote, Penny?
Abstention? Yeah, motion carries. Okay, the next item on our agenda is Gothier Affordable Housing Application,
Can't say we don't have
830G, 13 units, 6 Cindy Lane.
May I just make a note? Can we talk about the memorandum?
The resolution,
one?
yes,
The
the
resolution?
resolution.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was mistitled by accident.
Okay.
Yeah, it's supposed to be in.
Oh, I already have
All
it.
right. I believe that there is a typo
Oh.
on page 5 under letter 4,
Hold on.
number 4.
Page 5.
Page 5, number
Got it.
4, third line down, first word. I think it's supposed to be Snyder.
Here.
During previous presentations, applications, blah, 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 neither Mr. Trinkhouse
No,
or the
No.
respective applicant's counsel provided statements. Am I correct?
no, it is supposed to be, it is
Either.
supposed to be either or.
Either Mr. Trinkus or the respective applicant.
Okay, so my question is, did they provide statements recognizing and reviewing the continued need for affordable housing?
According to the record, no.
No, so this is, so the question that Penny's asking is, this is for 28 South Street and 64 Worcester Street. During those applications were statements for the
Oh,
need
right,
for,
all right, yeah, okay.
that's how the question is
Correct.
phrased.
Yeah,
That's,
thank
if
you.
it was not, then you would be correct, then it would be.
All right, thank you.
Oh. Somebody like to make a motion?
Should this be put up?
The commission members have it. All commission members have the
Yes, it was
resolution.
coming out. Yeah.
Oh, so, okay, I didn't realize Doug and Linda had it too.
Yes, they
Okay.
have the resolution.
Okay.
Similar to the well thing. The wells,
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
so even though it's stated a memorandum, it's not a memorandum. I would just make it, if you so desire, after you do your final review, make a motion to deny the application for 646 Cindy Lane, Gauthier, dated, your draft resolutions dated April 12th, 2022.
I make a motion that we decline the application at 6 Cindy Lane, the Gauthier application dated April 12th, 2022,
That's presented.
as presented.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstention? Motion passes. Next item on our agenda is the Town of Bethel Special Permit Stadium sign, 300 Whittle Seat Drive.
We just sent that for consensus.
So we're gonna send this
We're
out.
gonna
for-
draw something up.
I'm gonna draw something up for the next meeting. I'm also gonna check with the police commission just to make sure that we're all on the
Good idea.
same page as far as
Right,
the messaging. Also put something in writing dealing with who's actually responsible to do it, the messaging is, you know, is. I wanna check with upstairs, the Board of Education, the superintendent
Good
of
idea.
schools. So there's,
Beth, I had a question too. They were talking about putting giant face of someone up there.
Yeah.
You know, we're talking about a face that might be 6 feet high. And you're driving by there. I mean, it's almost like a movie right on the side of the sidewalk there.
But I think that they were doing that
Just to honor somebody.
to honor somebody or specifically
Oh, I'm okay with
for
that.
graduations and during the graduation.
But the student of the week or the month or something, I mean, that could be on there all day long, you know, every 3 minutes. I'm just
Right.
bringing it up. I'm just,
I think that, I think we just want some clarity
yeah.
as to what the sign is gonna be used for, without getting into specifics. I'm just a little concerned.
Yeah,
What he said, I am too, that when I asked him specifically if there was going to be sound, he said, well, there can be, but not really now. Well, I would like it more specific that
So we're not gonna use sound.
he said, but they can. He did say that the ability was there. So I would like it to be specific that there will not be sound.
I think what he had said was that you can equip the signs to have sound, but with what the quote entailed, sound was not included.
That's the,
Yeah, but it seemed to me that it was open for discussion at some point in time. So,
I'd like to button it up a
Yeah.
little bit.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
the-
Yeah, I would
the
too.
concern is that it-
Kind of just-
Well, as
yeah.
part of the approval, you can
Tighten
set
it
some
up.
standards.
That's
it.
what I.
Yeah.
That's why
that's what I'm
I bring.
gonna do.
Yeah, you have to be careful because if you have like student graphic designers doing things, the tendency is going to be to make it flashy and
Oh,
crazy.
yeah.
And let's,
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
And the
if we
people-
can say like the amount of time between transitions, like set it to, 1 minute per slide,
Not a bad idea.
so that it's not constantly
Yes,
changing throughout the course of the
yes.
day. That can
Yes.
2
slow
minutes,
things
when he
down.
was saying 2
It won't-
minutes.
Right, it won't affect the advertisers
I didn't
because they'll
know.
still be
My
up to the same
understanding
amount of
is-
time. It's just
my-
won't be.
My understanding on this is that it's similar to the scores table has a screen on the front of it.
Okay, it's
And
been a
they
while.
sit there at the table with a computer and they can program that to change every 5 minutes.
But the score table is inside the stadium.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's similar though. That's what I mean. You can do what Rob wants is set a time limit on how quickly it changes.
Yeah, that could be done from inside the
Yeah.
school, wherever it's
Mhm.
being controlled.
I'm
I'm a little
not,
nervous about Reynolds Ridge.
I'm just wondering if
Well, that's
some
why,
parent,
when he said he was gonna turn on at 6
some
o'clock in the
parent doesn't
morning,
want
Yeah,
their
that's-
kid's
yeah,
face
that was
up there every
And
5
they-
minutes for a week.
school
Right.
starts at what? Quarter to
7:30?
7:30,
you have a kid's name.
7 o'clock,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
how about we just have it turn on at 9 after everyone's in
I think
school
they-
and.
Or-
You
But I
know,
think the point is,
Because
if
it's
kids come
more-
through, they can
Solid
see.
guidelines.
yeah, I get that, if the kids are
Right.
going out to gym class and they're gonna go walk past it and they wanna
Right.
see, hey, look, the football team's playing later.
For
or,
event, yes.
Mhm.
You know,
School
but
activities.
I think,
Events.
I don't think that
things
needs
of
to turn on at
nature.
But
6 o'clock in
6,
the
7
morning.
o'clock in the morning is a
No,
little.
if that turned on at
Yeah,
9
the
o'clock,
timing, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
that's definitely something needs to be
Exactly.
That's
addressed.
not looking to create a drive-in movie.
Yeah,
No, I hope not.
Also-
That was my,
You
that
sure?
was one of my concerns when, and we'll work it out.
and one other thing, I'm grateful for the donation for the 2 or 3 companies that are putting up the big
Mhm.
money to put this up. But I kind of get the feeling that they're might feel entitled to their advertisement space and they're gonna get it for
Exactly.
10 years.
Exactly.
And who's to
They're getting a
say,
bargain, 10
Hey.
years for 10,000 each,
Yes.
basically.
and
Every
who's to
5
say,
minutes.
hey, we're, instead of this logo, let's put this up, or,
Right.
it's Ingersoll Auto, so, hey, instead of having brought to you by Ingersoll, it's brought to you by the 2022 Chevy Silverado.
Right.
So maybe that just gets reined in
Mm.
of what is gonna be, or instead of having that on the board, have a sign next to you. Next to it, just a static printed
Right.
sign that
Yeah.
says
I think what we're looking for.
proudly donated by Ingersoll Auto and I
Yeah.
forget who, Carluzzi's. Put it right there underneath it or something, not giving them, because the Carluzzi's
Ingersoll's name. is
pork
already
chops are on
there
sale this
before
week.
that.
Right.
You
Yeah,
know?
exactly. Right.
But I think what we're looking for is more specifics.
Yeah,
I love the
That's what we-
sign. I think it's
Yeah.
great. It's gonna be a great addition to the school
Right,
system.
yeah.
Just a little bit of the control and non-advertising need to be reined in a little bit.
Is,
Right,
I agree.
okay,
Pork chop.
so,
But you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, Carluzzi used to say, hey, this week put up this.
Wasn't there when you were student of the month.
No, I was never student of the month.
so this is gonna be a work in progress, right?
Yes, I think so.
And I think they'll work with you.
Are they,
Oh, I'm sure they
are
will.
they going to provide a consensus to approve them?
I think we already.
We had
We
that.
already
already. Yeah, we
did.
They already
We
did
already-
before
we
they
already
left.
had a consensus for that. So they can sign their contracts on Friday.
And if someone's willing to hold the price from October,
Yeah,
that's incredible.
because it's gonna go up at least
Yeah.
20%.
Oh, everything's gonna go up.
Yeah,
incredibly.
no. Come on, just. Okay, so now we have, the next item on our agenda is the planner's report.
Okay, so a couple of things I'm looking for your input on one more time for tonight. Can you bring up 36 Stony Hill Road?
Right, yes.
Which document, Beth?
Let's start with, I sent you two, let's say. The
The
revised,
elevator shaft site.
The elevator
Right.
shaft. it's
Yeah.
gotta be.
well, first, there should be, try the third one down. Third one down. Open that up. I should have labeled them. All right, go back, try the middle one. Okay, so we have this letter from Sterling dealing with the farms. They're looking for an extension of 6 months. They wanted you to take a look at this in regards to what they want to do. But basically, I would be willing to give them an extension of 6 months to, I believe it would keep going. It'd be down to, I think it's September. Is it up at the top, David? I can't remember.
No, the requested the 6 months is right here.
Okay,
Didn't they already give
September
us-
1st, 2022. So they're looking for an extension. As you can see, we have almost $500,000 in bonds because 475, because I keep threatening to call the bonds to the previous owner. This is a new developer that's come in and taken over the project. Although there is a portion of the development that is owned, I think, from the New Jersey group, the previous owners.
The RNS.
Yeah. So anyways, so that's the letter they're looking for the extension. That's one thing. So now go back to the file. Go back to 36 Stony Hill Road, the revised plans. And what I sent you was, this is the approved drawing. What I would do is base everything you look at on McNeil Road. David, could you just run your cursor to where McNeil Road is? And if you notice on McNeil Road, there were 3 two-story buildings proposed in that location with detention systems and some screening along those sides.
I'm sorry, I'm not seeing McNeil Road.
So
I can get up and
McNeil
show
Road
you.
is where my cursor is.
Bottom of the-
Right down there,
Just
on the
not
bottom.
seeing-
So this is
Oh,
McNeil,
okay. Got it,
okay.
thank you.
and these are houses
Right,
along McNeil Road. This
Right.
is a medical building that probably will be coming to play within the next 3 or 4 months. They're gonna start building that to the front. So you have building 1 is a 3-story building, and these 2 were 2 stories. These are detention systems here and over here. And the stories over here, the buildings over here were 3-story buildings. Next to Stony Hill Hardware is up here, Kruger Plumbing, and a few other storefront areas. So go to the next page. So the next page is their newest proposal.
Big difference.
There is a big difference. What they're doing is they want to go to, it's the same unit count. So it's, I think, 115 or 117 units. Okay, it's the same,
17.
117. It's the same unit count.
But the reason they're proposing 4-story underneath the structure. So that reduces the amount of parking that's needed to park a lot of the infrastructure that's needed,
Less
and
disturbance of
Less
the
impervious.
property.
less impervious area.
And what it does for McNeil Road. It gives
Yes.
them all that grassy area.
Yes, so, you know, there, on the side, when I sent this to you as a side, a lot of you had discussions or had questions pertaining to the height on Stony Hill Road. The height on Stony Hill Road, the allowance is 50 feet. That was determined through the Route 6 plan. Now, at the time that that was approved, unfortunately, I was still here and some of you were still here. And I think that when that was approved, we were thinking more in terms of office buildings,
Oh, yeah.
hotels and things of that
We were.
nature. That we, if I recall, it was said that hotels won't even consider building unless they can do 4 stories. I think at the time we didn't take really under consideration
What was gonna
that
happen?
residential, because we did not have the residential component that we have now. We didn't take that under consideration. That is something I think you should think about in the future. Some of you have also mentioned that's the SMOOD regulation. There's some aspects of that that you want to discuss more in the future. And I think it's feasible to do that. But the point of my stating that is that right now, this would be allowed in the Route 6 zone.
Right.
So the question is, what do you think?
What's the height actual of the
They're keeping it just under 50 feet.
real
Yes.
peak height?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And they don't want to do that until they have a consensus from the commission that you would be interested in this proposal.
Really cleans up McNeil though.
Yeah.
It gives that whole area breathing room. And I noticed also all of the green space for the families.
You like that,
living
kid?
in the building. Yeah,
Kitty, that's the
they-
kind of green
You're
space
gonna
I'm
have to find
talking
a
about,
new,
right?
Kitty, they did that for you.
Right.
but they had me in mind.
Absolutely.
When I
Most of the kids
emailed,
over from Copper Square.
Beth, my problem was the 4 stories. And I mean, we've heard that a few times now in the
Yes.
past with different applications. Everybody's pushing this 4 stories and my suggestion was that I think I nailed it right on the head, was that 4 stories when the commission at the time thought that was a good idea, was thinking commercial. And
Oh,
now
yeah, it was.
everyone's wanting to do 4 stories for residential. I didn't know about the parking situation under that
Right.
in that email chain that came out. Or email, it wasn't a chain.
Those are gonna be open parking spaces, not,
No, they're gonna be
Garages.
garages.
There'll be garages
They're gonna be
under.
Garages
garages
underneath.
underneath.
okay,
I mean, that
but open into the
does
apartment.
change it, my
Doesn't it
perspective a little
change the
bit.
height?
I don't know.
Doesn't change the height of it,
But the
I don't know
purpose
yet.
is different. Yeah,
I
it is a
haven't
big
seen
change in the
buildings.
purpose.
and I
New
understand.
building design.
Yeah, because my question was, could they keep it three floors and maybe just add 1 building and still get a big portion of that green space there? But then thinking now, realizing we'd be having to add a lot more parking if we
Right.
did
Oh,
that.
yeah. All that green space would disappear.
Yeah, so
What's it look like on the Hollyville side looking in?
They just took, I believe they just handled it from the McNeil side,
Yeah,
I
not
heard
the
that.
Holly side,
all the documents that we've gotten show from
McNeil.
this perspective here, where my cursor is running, this is McNeil Road. There's nothing from Hollyville.
And they're
which
gonna
is
put
this
all-
road here.
It's a
Like throw a
4-story
screening
building too.
Yes, all 4-story buildings.
is that a little like dog park there, or walking path in the middle
They
there?
didn't get into the open space areas,
Or what
you
that
know,
little
what it will
thing's gonna
be.
A little keychain
Oh,
thing.
no,
in the
I
middle
think they do have that labeled somewhere.
Do they have the amenities lab? But it's all conceptual right now.
Yeah.
It's not, you know,
I think it's definitely a step in the right direction, much better than dog park.
A dog park.
Is that what that is?
This is just an element that they brought in. It's not to say that it would be permanent, I think, Beth, is that what
Right.
they were saying.
They were just trying to think of amenities.
Different
associated
amenities.
with
What's that up at the
facilities.
top? That's a dumpster?
This right here
Maintenance building,
is me, yes.
Maintenance building.
Maintenance building, what's the thing over on the other corner?
probably a dumpster pad.
This over here,
Is the
Yeah.
mail
The
thing,
green thing?
where you get your mail.
Oh, we covered all the amenities.
It's the
Yeah.
clubhouse.
Looks a lot better.
Yeah.
I'm in favor of it as long as you're not increasing the number of units.
Yeah, I
No,
mean, it's the same
Yeah.
number of units, and the project is.
And you're buying green space with every one you put on the fourth floor.
Yeah.
Yep, let's run off.
Giving
plus
those families a
water
place to
pollution
live.
impact.
And you're keeping it further away from McNeil, so. You're not gonna have an apartment building right out front of you,
Mm.
you're gonna have a big field.
well, there's gonna be,
trees.
there'll probably be a fence and,
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
they'll do
But it's,
some.
I'm saying when you pull out of your driveway in the morning, you're not be looking at a apartment building, you're.
Well, you
gonna see
notice
a
where the
park.
trees stop. Trees stop where the buildings are.
Mhm.
well,
Yep.
this is the view you would have right here.
Yeah.
Or a view.
Well,
But I think, I mean,
you could always get them
Oh,
to
from-
extend
from
the
the-
trees a little further if we wanted.
Mhm.
I think it's a good
Is there
start.
anything we could suggest to ease the people on Hollyville? They're gonna be staring at the back of 4-story buildings.
Well, we don't know the
That's what we
distance,
have all the
right?
way down the street.
You're gonna be
Go
staring at
back,
3 stories the other way.
yeah, I think they were at. Go back to the original.
Yeah, so the buildings
It'll be the
here.
medical.
were
So that was
right
One,
three.
2, 3, 4.
Is there no driveway out the back
buildings.
now?
No,
there's still a driveway.
Still a driveway.
is it
Doug,
gated?
Can you
Is it
see that?
emergency exit
Yep, I
only?
can.
The driveway's on
No, I
Holyville,
think it's.
not off
uh,
McNeil,
It's a
Right.
permanent access driveway.
from Holyville, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
no,
okay, so if you go back to the original plan. Hollyville Road was looking at parking.
Hmm.
It also had a 3-story building, semi-close to it. But when you look at the, there was a lot of parking proposed on that side of the building.
Yeah,
And also, that's always my biggest thing now with dealing with some of these things. Is the headlights going into
Going
the
in and out,
houses,
right.
the change in elevation.
Right.
It is a good point, Doug.
So it would be a trade-off, either you would have parking areas close to Hollyville Road, or you would have.
Or maybe we could, maybe they
Two
could
buildings.
encourage a buffer of some kind.
Absolutely.
Oh, sure. Because there seems to be a decent sized green space along Holyville.
Go back to the conceptual.
Yeah, say all the way down that whole line.
Yeah. We could even,
I mean, it's just significantly bigger and open,
mm,
instead of all just cluttered in parking lots.
Right.
that's true.
What's that kidney shaped thing on the left? Is that just a retention pond or?
Yes,
So,
Yeah.
stormwater.
Okay. But in the middle of summer, that'll be playable.
Uh,
Or no?
I'm not
That's just
sure,
Fraggie's in it.
I'm not sure if what you would plant in there would really facilitate.
Plant some rice in there.
wouldn't want you to splash in it.
Dry it out.
Yeah, ice skating pond.
Get the ball there.
Well, no, if it's a bio retention feature, correct me if I'm wrong, Beth, there's gonna be stuff that's planted in there that really wouldn't.
It's not gonna be a grass.
It's not,
It's not just a grassy area.
no.
No.
Rain garden.
Water moccasins.
Yeah.
It's complete with them.
Nice.
Boy, what a peanut
Son John
gallery
would
we
say.
have tonight.
Yeah,
Here I am asking real questions.
gee, Chris.
All right, so what do you think?
Yeah, keep
Well,
working.
Keep working on it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Going in the right
I'd be in
direction.
favor, right.
Okay.
right
Didn't
now.
these,
I'm hearing
didn't
a
we
lot
already give
more.
them a 12-month extension last fall?
No,
Either the
You're
last
better
one-
off giving them 6
Yeah.
6.
and renew it in
I
6
thought
if
it
you
was,
need
I
it.
thought.
We
the
gave him
property
till
already
the
got one.
spring. I think I gave him a 6-month extension from last fall. Cause
I don't know if it was, I think it was the last commission.
So
like
are
one of the
they
last
requesting
meetings.
a 12-month extension?
No, just to
September
September,
1st.
September
Make a
20,
motion to give them
2022.
an extension.
Make a motion to give them a 6-month extension. till
September
September
22.
1st, 2022.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any opposed? Extension, motion passes.
One of the things that the newer members may not be aware of, but there's a condition when you do an approval that work has to start within 12 months.
That's right.
So I have a letter from Teresa Castelli requesting a 12-month extension for her 28 South Street. The reason is that she states, we are currently navigating some Bethel Health Department conditions in order to receive our permits with the intentions of starting the project as soon as we are able to get our permits in place. So her approval expires on April 13th, and I'm asking that you approve this extension to April 13th, 2022.
Three.
Which one is right?
That's right.
No, 2023.
23.
Yes.
Okay.
I move that we extend the approval for another year at 28 South
The
Street.
start date.
The start date to
Second.
April 2023.
And 9/2023.
April 13th, right?
Oh, April.
April
April? Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you said
13th,
September. I'm going to the other one.
2023.
I'm going to the other one.
April 13th,
It's easy to do.
2023,
I'm okay there.
at 28 South Street.
It's easy in the middle of the table there.
I'm looking at the one from.
Do we have a
below.
second?
Second.
Yes, we did
Thank
have
you,
one.
Kenny.
Oh, God. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Anybody opposed?
How about you guys on?
I think
Linda.
Motion
said
passes.
aye.
Yep, in favor.
Thank you.
And Doug?
Doug Seaver, is he?
Well, Doug,
I'm in favor.
thank you.
There's also an unidentified iPhone on the meeting right now that joined.
Oh, yeah, there it is, right there. Yeah.
Okay.
Information.
Thank
Have
you.
them Identify themselves.
To the person.
So
who
motion
is-
passes.
To the person who is on the Zoom meeting as iPhone, can you please identify yourself?
Unmute yourself, too.
Should be,
That's the answer.
I'll ask the question again to the person who is on this meeting as iPhone. Can you please identify yourself?
Or not.
Okay.
It's gone.
They're gone.
Sorry.
Okay,
Called them out.
Okay, so that motion passed. Okay,
no,
so
it
we
could
have
be
those
Rick
two.
Tibbetts.
All right.
You have to see them.
No, Rich knows how to do it.
Oh, yeah, he would. He puts his name up.
Yeah, Rich puts his name up. Ken puts, okay. All right, next is, I'm also looking for direction. I sent, at our last meeting, there was an application before you, 17 Whitney
Whitney
Road.
Road.
that's my share for this one, or?
I don't think I have it in there.
I've got, there's some Google Drive documents in the file for tonight.
Do you?
Yeah.
Well, if you could put up the site plan, that would be great while I talk.
Okay.
So the question is, you know, the Saunders are also looking for direction too. And the question is, what do you think? You have Alyssa's comments, and just, you know, some general feedback in regards to this, so we can continue to try to work together to come up with a.
Well, nothing was really presented, right?
No, what we did was we had Alyssa look at the application.
Right.
You know, Alyssa made some rather strong comments. If you guys agree with those comments, we'll
Absolutely.
continue to try to go forward.
I didn't get a chance to look over them.
How
many units is it?
I believe it's a 30 to 32 units.
Is there any affordable?
There would be 20% affordable, so it would be 20%, say at 30.
It's in the TOD.
I was just gonna say, this is pretty specifically mentioned in the TOD.
So there's a
Yes.
house right there
Yes,
and there's a house right there.
right.
Yes, okay.
Elgin and Whitney.
Yeah, I think.
It's a 3-story building. Just under 100 by.
In
70.
that little zone.
This is the old Sanders
Pretty big
property,
space.
or the gravel or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's a Butler building on the property right now.
With a garage.
They would demolish that to install this building.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think Alyssa's comments are pretty good.
I thought they were spot on.
Have we heard anything back?
Well, they're anxious to talk to me, you know, and I have talked to the Saunders, so I just want to have the reassurance of the commission and the backing of the commission.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, dealing with elevations, floor, you know, 3 stories. Are you looking,
Yeah.
is 3 stories good with you, or do you want
In
to
that little
reduce the
zone.
height of the building? Do you think a height reduction is needed? The massing of the building? Do you feel that the one large structure in this particular,
Pretty close to Draper's building in size,
All behind that, right?
yeah,
Yes, right behind it.
the one on
There
Taylor.
it is.
Across to the north.
it's bigger.
I mean, it's,
It's bigger.
yeah,
It's similar to
I mean,
Grand.
dimensionally and
I think their intent was to look at the Grand 1 and 2 and try to mimic something along those lines. But I think it all depends on how you feel with it being placed in a residential
Right where it is. It's
zone.
No, I think Alyssa's comments were very spot on.
can we get Google map on this one? So
Yeah,
neighbors-
I'll bring it up.
You want to see the areas
Yeah,
adjacent to it? That's a good idea. Excellent idea.
All right, so just give me a second here. What is that? Let's go up north.
Kids walking.
Probably. Maybe they're on vacation this
The
week.
building's closed, I think. Whoever it was. Yeah.
Okay, so if you want an aerial overlay, this is from 3 years ago, so it may not be accurate, but this is,
There's nothing.
this is Elgin Avenue here, where my cursor is.
Right,
And this is Whitney Road. This is the parcel in question, is the one that's just highlighted on your screen.
Yeah.
And the golf property is to the north here, if that's correct, Beth?
Mhm.
And then
Yes.
you would have this parcel of that's 4 other residential properties.
So it is adjacent to the residential zone and partial,
Very
even
much
though
so.
this shows that it's residential, part of the property is zoned industrial.
What's the,
If you zoom out to the Grand, would just be kind of off the lower right-hand corner.
Show the Grand.
Right, so the
What's the
grand
history
would
behind the gate?
be, the grand would be these 2 buildings down here.
Wait a minute. Oh, you're showing the Grand.
Right, so this is the first building that was constructed here on Grand Street is down here. And then the newer
It doesn't
building, I
show it.
believe, is
Right there.
Right there.
is where my cursor is right now.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, because it's stolen
If
property.
everybody can see that, so
Is there sidewalks there?
On Elgin.
on Elgin and Whitney,
No, there's no sidewalks.
yes.
Oh,
there
I'm
is.
sorry, on the
There
one
are,
side, they're
aren't
on
there?
on the one
Yes, there
side.
I
are.
think there are.
There are,
I'm thinking on the, if you're looking at this on the left side, there's no,
there are
As
no
you approach
there are
there,
no
so-
sidewalks on Elgin, but there are
Right.
sidewalks partially up Whitney.
and there's partially
Go
on
down
Elgin also.
There's some on Elgin too.
Yeah, partially on Elgin, yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
I
up to
didn't
right
know
there, yeah.
Pat Kelly's house is there when you're Pat Kelly's. house?
Many years ago. Many years ago. I was a paper girl and there were sidewalks.
They just got grown over and
But they don't go to the full corner all the way.
no,
around,
they
right?
do not go to
No,
the.
not anymore, no.
yeah, there's definitely, there's always people walking around that corner when you come around there and there's.
Yes,
It's,
I assume they would be very unhappy.
That property actually goes behind that house too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's,
Oh,
I think
yeah.
that's wet back there.
Yeah, there's a water
triangle.
course that runs along here, Bob.
Yeah, it's wetlands there.
Now you can see it.
This is Bethel GIS.
Some room for improvement, I think.
It brings it closer into conformity by having.
I should know there's a couple of people in that neighborhood that bought based on the TOD on the assumption that it would be developed and that it would be more of a community.
More of a community, meaning,
Just
Not.
on the TOD plan,
it showed,
yeah, it showed going deeper and showed expanding over to like, the plan of going across the train station, walkways,
right,
following the train tracks.
right.
So,
But when you talk about the plan also showed a connection
right,
to the golf property behind it.
right.
We have the map here on the back wall, Beth.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
So, but my question is, how do you want us to proceed with this?
Does Alyssa's?
Very difficult.
Does Alyssa's, is that, she had the different locations, right?
Right, well, she was talking more in terms of,
Size and dimension.
I believe in the TOD plan that we're not looking for massive buildings.
Right.
Do you have her thing on the?
I don't think.
Can David bring
it's
that up?
on there.
You wanna look at this,
Try
Ted,
to right now.
The letter?
Oh, no, I'm
Oh,
looking.
okay. Oh, you saw it. Okay.
Yeah, no, I was just,
Yeah.
No,
The whole thing with the plan, what she says is the building should be designed in proportion to reflect human scale pedestrian
Mhm.
movement. To be broken down to a scale comparable to adjoining properties. Maximum building facade should be 120.
Well, to do that, you'd have to make it into several buildings.
Right,
Mhm.
Can you do that?
On that small piece.
it's not it's a 1.56 acre piece.
Oh, so it's big, it's big enough to put more than one or two buildings on it. Right? Sure.
Yes,
Read the belows. Of the sidewalk by two. Ground floor unit shall provide landscaping.
So instead of one big 3-story building, could they do like two stories?
you can bring it up when it's your turn.
Oh.
Yes.
Have
What
they,
was that?
have
What
they,
was the
have they
statement?
proposed any other, I'm sure you're having conversations with them, have they had any other ideas other than what's in front of us?
Yes, they did receive an idea from me of doing 2 buildings.
Okay.
Trying to bring it more in line with the scale that it should be associated with,
Mhm.
taking into consideration the adjoining property owners
So
and the neighborhood itself.
would
And the
two-
response to that was,
Their response, they've been very good to work with, so I really don't want to.
well, a real good landscape plan and a really nice looking
Couple
facade
buildings.
really,
Two-story building,
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
can go a long
Two-story
way.
buildings?
Yeah.
two-story buildings.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
It would
think
go
that
more
fits more,
within the line of that
two-story
residential
buildings,
zone.
that goes
Yeah.
along more with
Yeah.
TOD, is that what you're saying to me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, all right, we'll continue working together and see what we can.
The buildings that look more residential than that massive
Yeah, the
Yeah.
final look.
barracks.
right,
yeah.
Okay.
Sounds
All right.
good.
All right, I'll continue to work with them and we'll see what we can do.
Thank you.
I'm gonna get Alyssa involved too.
Yeah.
I think that would be helpful to
Yeah.
all the parties.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm done.
So, you're done. Any bond release?
No,
Commission comments? Public comments? Hello, public.
Hello, BJ Liberty, Buchanan Street. Since for Whitney Avenue, they are asking for a zone change from RR10/industrial to TOD. I don't know what your commitment to the Bethel Forward plan is, but have you all looked at the Bethel Forward document? Because that piece of property has a design element on it,
Yes.
cut through to Wall Street.
Right.
Just,
Oh,
well, you should look at that.
We'll discuss that a little bit.
I didn't look at that.
And it was brought off at the last minute, but yeah, and it has been pointed out to the applicant.
Yes.
As we go forward, we'll go through.
Are there any other members of the public out there who would like to speak?
No, I'm not seeing anyone, but I would just make a final reminder, if you have public comment that you wish to offer, you may raise your hand in the Zoom app to do so.
Okay. Seeing none,
Very nice.
hearing none,
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion passes.
You know, that works for me. Made a motion.